It's been way too long. As you can tell, this is all different than it was before. And it's been a long time since I've uploaded a video. I moved to a new place. I have my own office where I can record and create and be creative. I've also quit my job, which means I have a lot more time to be creative and indulge in this creative pursuit part of my life. And so that's what I'm gonna be doing. And so you're gonna see a number of different things coming down the pipeline very soon. So yeah, we're just gonna jump right into it. Jumping into part 3 of this dwarf video, I did some research. Specifically and especially looking into when you get ancestry feats. I wasn't really sure how it was working, and it made me a little bit more confused as I was reading through these to understand how powerful they were or how underpowered they would be in congruence with just how often you get them. Plus, many of you also told me in the previous video this answer, like a lot of you did. And I appreciate all of you. Thank you so much. It helps me learn. And it makes me feel like I'm learning alongside of people as opposed to just trying to dig into this myself. Please keep the comments coming. Keep educating me. You all have so much more insight than I do, as you've been playing this for far longer than I have. And I don't know if I will get the chance to play it myself to really get into the nitty-gritty and understand these things. So learning alongside of you makes this a much more tangible process. As always, if there's a specific path that you want me to take and what you want me to go through and look at next, by all means, please just comment that below and I will put it next on the list. Subscribing also helps a ton in this process. So if you could do that too, here's a boom, there's a thing that's gonna appear and effects, and okay, love you, bye. Ancestry feats seem a lot more in line with ability score improvements from 5e. You get your ancestral feats at 1, 5, 9, 13, and 17. This seems more in line with what I would expect. There was a little part of me that was disappointed when I learned you weren't getting one of these every level, but there was a bigger part of me that thought that the balance was better this way. Although there are some that just feel so much more necessary to take than others, which, you know, well, let's see if that trend continues. One thing I continue to think as I am learning about Pathfinder is just how constrained I never truly understood 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons to be. Boulder Roll. Your dwarven build allows you to push foes around, just like a mighty boulder tumbles through a subterranean cavern. Take a step into the square of a foe that is your size or smaller, and the foe must move into the empty space directly behind it. The foe must move even if doing so places it in harm's way. The foe can attempt a fortitude saving throw against your athletics DC to block your step. If the foe attempts this saving throw, unless it critically succeeds, it takes bludgeoning damage equal to your level plus your strength modifier. If the foe can't move into an empty space, if it is surrounded by solid objects or other creatures, for example, your Boulder Roll has no effect. Okay, this one's crazy. This is just Sonic the Hedgehog. You're Sonic the Hedgehog? You just can do this over and over? Is there a limit? It doesn't seem like there's a limit to how much you could do this. This is crazy. Like, you could just Sonic the Hedgehog and push people and damage them and push them and damage them until, what, you knock them off of a cliff? Like, is this unlimited? I mean, I really hope I'm misunderstanding and there's a limit to this, because this is a lot. Clan Protector. Your clan dagger can protect your allies as easily as yourself. When you use an interact action to gain a circumstance bonus to AC from your clan dagger's parry trait, you can grant the circumstance bonus to an adjacent ally instead of gaining it yourself. You can use multiple interact actions to protect multiple allies or to protect yourself and an ally. The ally benefits from the bonus to AC only when they are adjacent to you. I'm not looking it up. I won't do it. I'm not gonna do it. You can't make me. You can't make. So I looked it up and I don't fucking understand. This makes no sense. Why? Why? Parry is a thing that already exists for the clan dagger, and it requires you to spend a single action to do it. But Clan's Edge turns it into an interact. It turns it into an interact action. So I'm just confused. A parry is just a single action that you can take in order to give you +1 AC. Then have Clan's Edge, which is a 2-action feature that makes you make 2 attacks, and then you use an interact action in order to do the parry. But then you have Clan Protector, which doesn't have a prerequisite of Clan's Edge, but in the wording of it, it makes it seem like you need to have it, because a parry doesn't specify that it's an interact action. The parry just says a single action, and then Clan's Edge specifies that it turns it into an interact action when you use Clan's Edge, but the wording of Clan Protector specifically says when you use an interact action to gain AC. So either the parry information that I'm reading isn't specific enough to state that it's still an interact action, or this is weird. I'm confused. Can you take this if you don't have Clan's Edge? My brain is telling me that you take Clan's Edge, and then when you take Clan's Edge, eventually you get Clan Protector, and anytime you use Clan's Edge, you can spend 2 actions and give yourself and 1 other person a buff to AC, or 2 adjacent people a buff to their AC. But I don't understand where the second person's coming from. Where in the action economy does the second person come from? Are you using the 3rd action to do it? But it doesn't say that it's a fucking... It doesn't say that it's an interact action. It doesn't make sense. But either way, in the end, it sounds kind of cool. It reminds me a lot of the dual wielder feat from 5e, except with like some extra cool add-ons.
Dwarven Weapon Cunning. You've learned cunning techniques to get the best effects out of your dwarven weapons. Whenever you critically hit using a battle axe, pick, warhammer, or a dwarf weapon, you apply the weapon's critical specialization effect.
So I've seen the critical weapon specialization effect for the Clan Dagger and the Clan Dagger only, and I love it! I am so excited to start digging into some of the other critical weapon specializations and just weapons in general for Pathfinder, because they seem so much more dynamic and interesting than the nonsense that is the super simplistic weapons in 5e. I can't wait. I can't wait. This, I feel like, is one of the more exciting feats that I have read, not because of the feat itself, but because of where the feat leads me to look in later videos. I feel like I could be wrong on this, but I think that there are just some classes that give similar types of specializations for certain weapon types, but I hope there's more ways than one to get access to the special critical effects.
Protective Sheath. When you lash out with your Clan Dagger, you keep its sheath close at hand. When you use Clan's Edge, if the hand you're not holding the dagger with is empty, you can use your Clan's Dagger's sheath to block the attacks as well. The circumstance bonus to AC from parrying increases to a +2 against any target you hit with a strike this turn.
With Clan Protector, you get a +1 no matter what. But with this, it's more of a specifically targeted risk. And I don't know how much I like that. I think I would almost rather have this just be a flat upgrade. So long as I have dagger in one hand, sheath in the other, I'm getting 2. It shouldn't be dependent on me attacking a specific person, and it shouldn't be further dependent on whether or not I hit them. But as always, I don't know what I'm talking about. I am just looking at this objectively as a person who's only played 5e, and it seems far too risky, and I don't like how risky it is when I'm just playing it safe, super safe, with Clan's Edge giving me the +1 and just a normal pair. I don't know, it's weird. I don't like it, but maybe it's different in practice. I'm just thinking if I'm surrounded and I'm just like, I could do this all day, Captain America type shit, but with daggers, then I'm gonna prefer the +2, but, you know, only against Jim and not against Jeff, Tom, and Jalopy. I'm bad at names, leave me alone. But, like, I don't know, I want all of it. I want all of it, I'm only getting some of it. Sometimes it doesn't seem like a worthy trade-off to me.
Tomb Watcher's Glare. When you critically hit an undead creature, or an undead creature critically fails a saving throw against one of your abilities, you drive your Divine Wrath home in your enemy's heart. The undead is enfeebled 1 for 1 round.
Much like the Death Warden Dwarf as a whole, this is just pretty neato. Again, I think it might be a little too specific for me. I think honestly everything surrounding the Death Warden is a smidge too specific compared to the rest, but it seems like it's going full stop when it comes to fucking with the undead, and if I ever make a character like this, I really do appreciate the level of cohesion and depth. I can go with this undead train. Battleforger. You can sharpen weapons, polish armor, and apply special techniques to temporarily gain better effects from your armaments. By spending 1 hour working on a weapon or armor, you can grant it the effects of a +1 potency rune until your next daily preparations, gaining a +1 item bonus to attack rolls for a weapon or increasing armor's item bonus to AC by +1. This has no effect if the weapon or armor already had a potency rune. Hey there, how's it going? I'm JACKtheWISE, and this is your friendly reminder that artisan tools in Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition suck. Real bad. They're horrible and atrocious and were poorly designed and are very boring to take unless you're a thief with thieves tools. That's it. That's the end. Those are the only tools that actually matter in the entire game, maybe except for Tinker's tools, but I credit Critical Role for making those even remotely popular because Percy being able to make random shit with them is not something that's really written into the core rules of D&D. And don't come at me and say that Xanathar's Guide fixes it, because Xanathar's Guide doesn't do shit. It just gives you weirdly more specific things that you can make, okay? When a game like Skyrim exists where you could just make the same sword over and over and over again for gold, and that's still more interesting than what you can do as a smith in 5th edition core, you're missing something when it comes to your game. Let me make cool magic items, okay? Let's make calligrapher's tools 10 times cooler than they are. In my game, it's the only way to make scrolls. You need to be a calligrapher. That's cool. That's zhuzhy. Zhuzh up your artisan tools, 5th edition. I did. Not well. I'm still working on it, but they suck. And the fact that this feat isn't something that's just automatically given to everyone with a Smith's Tools proficiency in 5th edition is so dumb. It's so dumb. This comes off to me as very Forge Cleric in 5e, but I can't get over the fact that this is something that I want for everyone with Smith's Tools proficiency to have in 5th edition. This is Pathfinder. I'm talking way too much about 5th edition. We're gonna take it back. We're gonna take it back. Just give it to people with Smith's Tools. Just make it Smith Tools. It's a blanket. It's a blanket thing for people who are good with Smith's Tools. All you can ever make is a long sword? You just want me to forge great swords for the rest of my life so I can just endlessly make 25 gold? Fucking plate armor, maybe? Like, it's dumb. Give it blanket. This is so cool. I take it as a martial or support class. Energy Blessed. Energy runs through your blood more powerfully. When you use energy emanation, you can create an emanation of 5 feet, 10 feet, or 15 feet. The damage increases to 6d6 plus an additional 1d6 for every level you have above 9, instead of 1d6 plus an additional 1d6 for every 2 levels above first. I like this a whole bunch for a whole slew of different reasons. It's one of the cooler things that you get from a heritage. It specifies the range and that it's not a static range. It increases the scale of damage. It's just all around cool. I compared it to Thunderwave last time, but it's actually really similar to a Dragonborn's Fire Breath. I always thought that a Dragonborn's Fire Breath was a little underwhelming in scale. At level 9, this feature is doing more than a level 16 Dragonborn. And I think that that's even the base damage before the feat. Hero's Call. The Song of Ancient Heroes echo through your mind and quicken your pulse, especially in dire straits. You gain Heroism as a 3rd level innate occult spell that you can cast once per day. If you cast the spell when you have half or fewer hit points, you also gain temporary hit points equal to twice your level. This is really fucking cool. Granted, it's higher level, but this is something that I'd really like to see in 5th edition. It reminds me of how Drow get Darkness at 5th level in 5e, but it's like buffed a little bit. So to bring it up to Pathfinder quality, I would change it like just a little bit. At 5th level, you can also cast the Darkness spell once per day. If you cast the spell when you have half or fewer hit points, you instantly become invisible and you can teleport up to the spell's range in any direction. Just really cool, simple shit that just elevates it and makes it feel a little bit more special for what you're taking. Kneel for no god. Your ancestors' defiance of magic and your people's strictly egalitarian mindset mean that certain forms of magic have little effect on you. When you use your Call on Ancient Blood reaction against a divine spell and roll a critical failure on the saving throw against the spell, you get a failure instead. Again, similar to something else, but not as cool. I feel underwhelmed. Energy Blessed takes a cool ability and gives you twice the damage. This is the next level for Ancient Blooded, but it seems a little bit more limited in scope when you're comparing the two. Should I compare the two? I'm not sure. Do I know how many types of spells there are? Or how common divine spells are to make this feel equal? No, not at all. But Snap Judgment says one's better than the other. Mountain's Stoutness. Your hardiness lets you withstand more punishment than most before going down. Increase your maximum hit points by your level. When you have the dying condition, the DC of your recovery checks is equal to 9 plus your dying value instead of 10 plus your dying value. If you also have the Toughness feat, the hit points gained from it and this feat are cumulative, and the DC of your recovery checks is equal to 6 plus your dying value. This is tough from 5e, except does it scale? I don't think it scales. I'm not sure. I don't think that this scales. Oh, but there's a toughness feature in this too, and it does the same thing. Does that scale too? Tough in 5e specifies that it scales. Toughness and this feature make no such claim. I would hope this scales. I think that because of its lack of specificity that it doesn't scale. Can you take it at level 17 instead? Because it seems like if it doesn't scale, taking it at level 17 becomes more important. Like it would make more sense to take it at a higher level so that you can get more HP out of it. Although these have a secondary effect that make it pretty fucking useful. It lowers your recovery checks when you're dying. There's nothing in 5e that is in the core that makes it easier for you to save from death. And I also love that it becomes cohesive with the toughness feat. There's nothing in 5e that really has that cohesion. Again, the closest thing is just having prerequisites for features that came with Xanathars. And that's not even really cohesion, that's just a prerequisite. I really hope that I see more of this throughout the other classes and ancestries. Stonewalker. You have a deep reverence for and connection to stone. You gain Meld into Stone as a 3rd level divine innate spell that you can cast once per day. If you have the Stone Cunning Dwarf Ancestry feat, you can attempt to find unusual stonework and stonework traps that require legendary proficiency in perception. If you have both Stone Cunning and legendary proficiency in perception, when you're not seeking and the GM rolls a secret check for you to notice unusual stonework, you keep the bonus from Stone Cunning and don't take the -2 circumstance penalty. This seems like really underwhelming for a 9th level feat. I would enjoy it more if it gave you some additional spellcasting thing, sort of like Hero's Call. This should honestly just be a free upgrade for Stone Cunning at level 9. Like if you had Stone Cunning, this would just be like, hey, at level 9, you get this too. The end. Dwarven Weapon Expertise. Your Dwarven affinity blends with your training, granting you great skill with Dwarven weapons. Whenever you gain a class feature that grants you expert or greater proficiency in certain weapons, you also gain that proficiency for battle axes, picks, warhammers, and all Dwarven weapons in which you were trained. This seems pretty great for martial folks, although I feel like it comes like way late. You're more than halfway there already. Looking at Fighter, it seems like it only happens once after 13. There's something called Weapon Legend at level 13, and so maybe you just get like 2 little buffs to your Dwarven stuff. Maybe 5e brain is just making me think that Fighter is supposed to be the weapons expert, but it could be a different class or a subclass or something else entirely. This is probably just another feat that without having a grand understanding of everything, it kind of falls a little flat for me and becomes underwhelming because I don't have the understanding of everything else yet. But with my current understanding, it's not really something that I'd want, especially since it's the only level 13 feat in both of the books that we looked at. And that's the end of Dwarves, folks. We did it. It took us a while to get here, but we're done. With that out of the way, I've learned there's still a lot of basics I need to know to make myself understand better. The next entry into this venture is going to be actions, which I feel like a lot of people are going to be excited to hear about because it helps. It helps to understand the actions when a lot of things talk about actions. It was also the first comment someone left requesting I go down a certain path. After that, I think I'll probably dive into the different skills, barring any commented suggestions. And that's gonna do it for this one, everybody. We'll be back soon, and we'll be back with some more exciting things. Though there will be a lot of Pathfinder content, I'm also working on things outside of the spectrum of tabletop RPGs. There's gonna be some videos somewhere on this screen. If you'd like to click one, do it. Do it, or subscribe. I don't know. This video is going to cut me off at some point, but I'm just going to keep talking until it eventually does. I'm not usually sure how long that these are supposed to go on for, but this video is really cool. I'm pretty sure that this is a button that's just on my face.